Things I was delighted to hear or read of the Pope speaking, the new Pope speaking of just in the last few days, was the need to really implement the Second Vatican Council. And that's been one of my great struggles as a bishop, just seeing that more and more that was being eroded. And I was saying at the talk last night that I was in Rome for the 11th of October last year to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Second Vatican Council, and I went to the Mass in St Peter's Square, and it was just wonderful to be there on that historic occasion. But the Mass was actually billed as the Mass for the beginning of the Year of Faith, and the subtitles were to commemorate 50 years of Vatican II and 20 years of the New Catechism. And to my mind, that was just a very unsubtle way of, again, that process that's been going on for a long time of really walking away from what the Second Vatican Council was all about. And those whole notions of collegiality and participation, of listening and of dialogue, sadly, they're just diminished. And that's why I rejoice so much in the election of the present Pope, because I've got to say, with all of Pope John Paul II's, great qualities that he had, that really we move more and more away from that participatory nature of membership in the Church to almost seeing him as some sort of an idol, and the position of the Pope really getting right out of proportion, I think, to what it really is meant to be about. I think the lovely notion of Vatican II, looking at the Church firstly as the people of God and the part that we all have in it, and the way in which some of the you've talked about synods and so on. In our diocese, by the way, Canberra Goulburn, it wasn't my leadership, by the way, it was that of Frank Carroll. We had two really important synods there in 1989 and again in 2004, with the first one's theme was Coming Home in Christ, the second was One in Christ Jesus, and that was all an effort to do some of those things that you're talking about. And of course they weren't just the meetings themselves, but the opportunity for participation prior to that. I was disappointed a few years ago when that petition calling for reform, I think, attracted 17,000 signatures around Australia, and they were all Mass-going Catholics too, by the way, and calling for some real areas of reform. And just to see what the Australian bishops did with that, I just thought was deplorable, and I certainly expressed that in the strongest terms at our bishops' meetings. But it all seemed to be, to me, an effort just to try and just present a picture that Rome would be happy about, and to talk about what they wanted to hear rather than what the voices of the people were all about. And really, I think that's a lot of what has got us into the parlous position that we're in at the moment, simply because people are not being listened to. And I told the story last night about an old friend of mine. She's in the nursing home where I say Mass once a week. And I had a little discussion with her when she was in hospital just recently, and she said, almost every day something comes out that makes it harder and harder for us to be a Catholic. And I think that's precisely because people are not being listened to in the way that they should be. And that's one of my great hopes with this new Pope, that a lot of that's going to be turned around. Because really, if we don't listen to the voice of the faithful, we're on the path of perdition, really.